Before the Rolls-Royce rides and Beverly Hills house parties, there was Christopher Moore, aka Lil Twist. Born in Dallas, Texas, he was rapping by age 10 and opened for Lil Wayne at 12. Wayne saw something in him. By 14, Twist was signed to Young Money Entertainment, joining a legendary roster: Drake, Nicki Minaj, Tyga. Suddenly, he was flying private, wearing designer fits, and living a life most teens only dream of. As his profile grew, Lil Twist became a fixture in young Hollywood, embodying the lifestyle so many dreamed of. Signed to Lil Wayne's Young Money label at just 12 years old, Twist was quickly ushered into the fast-paced world of fame, music, and luxury. He was no longer just a teenager from Dallas, he was now part of hip-hop royalty. By 16, Twist owned a matte black Range Rover and was regularly spotted alongside Justin Bieber, cruising through Los Angeles in exotic cars, attending celebrity parties, and showing off ice-heavy chains. His jewelry collection included custom diamond Twizzy pendants and grills, each piece reflecting his rising status. Style-wise, Twist was ahead of the curve. He wore brands like Givenchy, Bape, and Supreme before they became mainstream staples in hip-hop fashion, setting trends for others to follow. Musically, he was active and ambitious. He toured with Lil Wayne, featured on tracks with artists like Khalil and Bieber, and shot high-budget music videos on yachts in Miami and in penthouse suites in Las Vegas. To fans, he was living the ultimate dream, surrounded by stars, wealth, and opportunity. But behind the flashing lights and designer clothes, Twist was navigating serious pressure. As his fame skyrocketed, so did public scrutiny. The media was quick to label him as a bad influence on Bieber, constantly highlighting their wild nights out and run-ins with paparazzi. Legal troubles began to surface. He faced arrests, lawsuits, and headlines that painted him as reckless and out of control. Suddenly, the industry that once embraced him began to move on. New stars emerged, musical trends shifted, and Twist found himself fighting to stay relevant. What the world didn't always see was the burden of growing up in the spotlight. The expectations, the constant attention, and the need to always perform took a toll. Fame came fast, and so did the consequences. For every luxury car and diamond chain, there was a court date, a controversy, or a missed opportunity. Lil Twist's story is more than just fame and fortune. It's a reflection of how quickly things can rise and fall in the entertainment world. Behind the scenes, he wasn't just living large, he was learning, sometimes the hard way, what it really means to survive in the spotlight. By 2013, the fast-paced lifestyle that had once elevated Lil Twist began to unravel. The same headlines that once praised his style and connections now focused on his growing legal troubles. That year marked the beginning of a dark chapter. Twist was arrested multiple times, facing charges ranging from DUI to drug possession and assault. The media, always hungry for a story, quickly turned on him. He was no longer seen as the charismatic young rapper with superstar friends, but instead labeled as the bad influence on Bieber, a scapegoat in a larger narrative of teen celebrity rebellion. As the spotlight grew harsher, Twist's name became synonymous with controversy. Paparazzi followed his every move, and each misstep became tabloid fodder. His once glamorous public image began to fade, and the pressure of constant media scrutiny took a toll on both his career and mental health. In 2016, the situation reached a breaking point. Twist served time in jail following an incident at Justin Bieber's former home, where he was accused of assaulting two people. In the years that followed, Twist would reveal that he had taken the fall to protect others, suggesting that his loyalty to Bieber and his circle came at a personal cost. According to him, he kept quiet and accepted punishment for actions that were not entirely his own. "I was loyal," he later said, "but loyalty can be expensive." That period marked the end of his lavish lifestyle. The cars, the chains, the red carpet appearances, all of it vanished. The parties were replaced with court dates. The penthouses and private jets gave way to silence and isolation. Once surrounded by fans, photographers, and fellow stars, Twist found himself alone, out of the limelight, and reflecting on how quickly fame can fade. For someone who had lived so loudly, the silence that followed was deafening. The industry moved on. New stars rose. Social media, which once helped fuel his rise, now reminded him daily of what he'd lost. The friends he once partied with were now distant memories or busy with their own rebranded lives. Twist's story, once filled with promise and luxury, became a cautionary tale about loyalty, fame, and the brutal price of growing up under the microscope of celebrity culture.
After serving time, Lil Twist re-emerged into the public eye, but this time, much more cautiously. The once loud, flashy figure of young Hollywood returned as someone quieter, more introspective. There were no press tours or grand comebacks. Instead, Twist focused on rebuilding from the inside out. He leaned into healing, faith, and personal growth, choosing to step away from the chaos that had once defined his youth. Rather than chasing chart-topping singles or viral fame, he redirected his energy toward making music with purpose. He wasn't trying to prove himself to the industry anymore. He was creating for himself, for clarity, for expression, and for peace. The goal was no longer clout, it was authenticity. Twist moved back to his roots in Dallas, leaving behind the noise of Los Angeles. He began recording in smaller, more intimate studios, surrounded by a close-knit group of people he trusted. No more large entourages or Hollywood distractions, just focus. The environment was quieter, but it allowed him to rediscover his voice in a new way. In interviews, he started opening up about his journey, discussing topics that rarely made headlines when he was younger. He spoke honestly about mental health, the pressure of earned fame, and the identity crisis that came with being labeled a bad influence. He admitted that, at times, the weight of it all nearly broke him. But he also expressed gratitude for surviving it, for learning from it, and for being able to grow beyond it. His image shifted to match his mindset. Gone were the heavy chains, designer logos, and head-to-toe luxury looks. In their place, cargo pants, plain t-shirts, and understated jewelry. His presence became more grounded. He no longer felt the need to dress or act to impress the cameras. His evolution was visible not just in his words, but in his style, his music, and his energy. Twist still raps, but it's different now. His lyrics explore pain, growth, loyalty, and self-awareness. He no longer chases fame the way he once did. He understands now that real power comes from knowing who you are, not who the world wants you to be. Lil Twist's comeback isn't about reclaiming old glory. It's about stepping into a new chapter with clarity, humility, and purpose.
Today, Lil Twist isn't trending on social media. He's not on magazine covers, nor is he headlining major tours. But what he has now is something he once never imagined having: peace. And in an industry constantly chasing numbers, fame, and fleeting relevance, peace has become his most valuable possession. Twist still makes music, but it's no longer about chasing the charts. His releases are more direct to fan, raw, honest, and unfiltered. His lyrics speak about loyalty, hard-learned lessons, and the strength it takes to survive the storms of fame. There's wisdom in his words now, a sense of purpose that wasn't there in his earlier, more reckless years. Back in his hometown of Dallas, Twist has embraced a quieter life. He spends time mentoring up-and-coming artists in the city, young talents with big dreams and little guidance. He helps them navigate the pressures of fame, the temptations of the industry, and the importance of staying grounded. For him, it's about passing down the knowledge he had to learn the hard way. I made the mistakes, he says, so they don't have to. His home reflects his new energy, calm, cozy, and intentional. Shelves filled with books on spirituality, growth, and music, candles burning. A corner studio setup where he writes and records. No paparazzi outside, no chaos, just space to breathe, create, and be. He no longer needs flashy cars or loud statements to prove his worth. His daily driver is a matte grey Tesla, clean, quiet, and low-key, just like him. Far removed from the Hollywood frenzy, he's built a life on his own terms. Lil Twist's story isn't one of downfall, it's one of evolution. He didn't fall off, he just stepped back, from the blinding spotlight to a more centered, authentic place. From gold chains and party nights to self-discipline and real character. He was once Young Money's wild child, always in the headlines, always in trouble. Now, he's a man who knows himself, owns his past, and walks forward with purpose. Twist may not be trending, but he's finally free. And that's a different kind of success.